Meanwhile, hello. Welcome back to Angry Plays Metroid Prime. This is session 4. Um, so here we are. Got some folks hanging out in the chat. Zero Quest, Dillazim, O-Dog is back. Photo Style, Gold Pumpkin. I don't know if you guys are new here. So we're going to be picking up where we left off, and had a little bit of a minor disaster earlier where I briefly jumped into the save file just to check and make sure that I was actually on track for 100% of everything. And I discovered that I had missed a missile tank and also have missed a couple of scan lore thingy dealies. And then I had to go back through the old video and figure out, or the old videos on YouTube, and figure out which missile tank that I had missed. And it's one that we'll have another chance to pick up, so I'm not too worried about it. It does mean that my attempt to 100% this by memory has failed again, since I had to go to my checklist. But meanwhile, last time we defeated Thardus, a giant rock monster infused with Phazon and then locked away in the quarantine cave of the Space Pirates lab in Phendrana Drifts, where they have been conducting what we will loosely refer to as experiments, but is actually sort of like the, much like the saccharin experiments in the, I guess, the 70s, where basically you just keep cramming something down a creature's gullet until it either develops superpowers or dies of cancer. Because that's basically what the Space Pirates have been up to, and almost all of their lore entries amount to that. So now, having picked up the Spider Ball, we are gonna go back to the Chozo ruins, because there are some places where we can use the Spider Ball to good effect. And we've got kind of a long hike, and along the way we're going to dip into Phendrana Drifts and just pick up a few items. So we can see here that we're back in Magmore Canyon Caverns, and now that we're here with the thermal visor, it's not too interesting here, though you can see the lava shows up as hotspots. But when we get to the areas that are superheated and cause you damage if you wander around in them, I'm going to turn on the thermal visor and just again show the sort of attention to detail that they put into this game. Meanwhile, before we carry on through this room, there's actually an energy tank that we can get. It's behind these sealed doors, and yeah, it's concealed by one of a standard morph ball puzzle. You know, because that's what. Well, oh yeah, right. I cannot. First thing I have to do is actually depower the lava. Okay, and we get one of these puzzles where the unit does not have power, and there are electrical conduits hidden in the walls, and they can be detected as hotspots, and then energized with the wave beam. So the thermal visor is actually, it's got a couple of uses. This is one of the more gamey uses of it. Like, you know, we'll hide something around that can only be seen with the thermal visor. You know, there are some more interesting uses for it that will come up later. But one of the things I think I said last time is that Metroid is one of those things that, you know, it realizes that it's a game, and it doesn't apologize for that or try to hide it. It just tries to make itself a fun game. And I actually respect that a lot. You know, it's like in D&D, for example, you can get really bogged down in the whole simulationism and realism thing. You know, trying to, you know, basically editing and censoring yourself to you know, keep things realistic and try to keep the immersion up. But the fact of the matter is that immersion is not destroyed by a certain amount of gaminess. Which is to say that you can get into it and you can really have a good time. And if you're engaged by the story, if you're engaged by the characters, or if you're engaged by the gameplay, you don't. It doesn't take you out of the game that things get a little weird. Like, it's... I mean, I admit there's a certain amount of fridge logic to it, which, you know, I think that was a term that... I can't remember who coined the phrase, but the basic idea is that... oh, Dice App is here talking about Zoidberg encounters. Yeah, if... We're probably going to have a lot of time to just chat, considering I'm doing some wandering and item collection, so I'll tell that story maybe in a bit. But, you know, like I said, the key is not to get so hopped up in trying to make things realistic and trying to make things, you know, super immersive and super heavy that you forget that at the end of the day, we are playing a game because we want to have fun. You know, don't ever lose sight of the fun. Here we have a new creature, by the way. The Puddle Spore. It basically, if you shoot down its throat, it flips over and becomes a platform. You know, basically nature's step stool. And then it will stay in that... I think I've already scanned these guys. I can't keep track anymore of what I've scanned and what I haven't. You know what? I don't even want to deal with the beetles. We're just actually cutting through Magmore to get back to the entrance of the Phendrana Drifts area. So, I'm not sure. There's a lot of chatting going on in the chat, and I can't follow it all. Like, whoops. I don't know, I saw something about the Cupcake Swindler family line, and I'm not sure what the hell that is about. So there's another one of those stalactites that can get... Whoops. I guess I have to actually aim at it. I'm trying to be a little bit more careful about making sure that I've scanned everything, because like I said, all the pickups have to be scanned to get the 100%. Yeah, Dillism in the chat is talking about gaming and people saying, well, that's not how physics works. But you know what? I mean, though, I guess let me give the alternate viewpoint too, since I'm talking about immersion and since I kind of get lost into these digressions about running games and game design anyway. So, whoa, hello. Didn't see you over there. I'm almost out of missiles too. See, the other side of it is that suspension of disbelief is actually also a real thing. That is to say that, you know, different people are taken out of the story by different levels of weirdness or unreality or whatever you want to call it. You know, people have different tolerances for plot holes and stuff. And so, the idea is actually, to kind of walk a tightrope, to kind of find that point where you are taking just enough advantage of the fun of the game, where you're not worried about the reality, but not cross that magic line where it suddenly kicks people out of the game. You know, and that's actually a tough line to find, and everybody has a different line. And what you really find, like, the fact that people have that different line is just such a creator of arguments. I keep looking at the whatchamacallits, the missiles, because there's a large missile expansion that I haven't scanned yet, or large missile ammo that I haven't scanned yet, so I gotta watch out for it. But, like, you find a lot of people who will argue about what's realistic and what's not, and whether a movie is unrealistic or whether it's ridiculous or whatever. But everybody talks about these things like there's this magic objective line. And there really isn't. It's such a personal and subjective thing. You know? So, and that's the key. Like, if you're going to have one of those arguments, like, I'll give a perfect example. I'm really hard on Pacific Rim as basically just a horrible movie. I absolutely hated it. This elevator, by the way, this goes back to Talon Overworld, but I don't want to take it quite yet. But I'm really hard on Pacific Rim. I thought it was just a horrible movie. I sat there the whole time. I was not engaged. I was not enjoying it. Get out of my way. I don't even care. But, you know, a lot of other people loved that movie. And it doesn't make me right, except that I'm always right anyway, so it does make me right. But it doesn't make other people wrong for liking it, except that it really is wrong to like it. But, okay. Maybe this isn't a good example. Okay, no. In all seriousness, no. Because everybody has a different level. Everybody has a different level of ability to shut their brain off and just enjoy something. Like, I don't get off really on stupid entertainment. Like, I cannot enjoy a movie just because it has a giant robot punching an alien or using an aircraft carrier or a tanker like a baseball bat. But that's just me, you know? And, like, if you're gonna discuss this shit online, then fine and dandy. You know what? Have all the discussions you want. And it's even okay to talk about where your personal line of suspension of disbelief is. But for fuck's sake, stop imagining that there's some kind of objective definition of realistic or unrealistic. And you know what? While we're on the subject of realism, because this is another one that comes up all the time in video games and in role-playing games and in everything else, it's not about realism, guys. It really isn't. Okay, the word realism, because you have those arguments, right? Where someone's like, oh, you know what? This armor is unrealistic, or this spell is unrealistic, or, you know, letting a fireball spell work underwater, that was a great argument. And it's just, oh, that's unrealistic. And then you have the counter. Whoops, almost jumped off the edge there. And the counter-argument is always, well, what do you care about realism? It's a world of elves and wizards. You know, but you know what? That's not a valid counter-argument because it's not really about realism. Really, what we're talking about is the concept of verisimilitude. The idea that it doesn't kick you out of your suspension of disbelief, that it lets you enter that world and, you know, just enjoy the world enough as it presents itself. It's consistent with its own rules. And if it does have, like, hairy spots, you never notice them. You know, like, take Up, for example. You know, the Pixar movie. Up is one of those movies that is just, it's like, you know, obviously it's ridiculous, and the more you look at it, the more ridiculous it is. You know, the talking dog collar thing, and the house on the helium balloons, and all that stuff, and nobody cared. Nobody gave a shit because it was such an engaging and emotional movie that it just it pulled you into its world, and you didn't care. Meanwhile, I've made it back to where I was headed, which is Phendrana Drifts, because I'm going to pick up some items, and I guess it's time to get off my rant and, you know, actually play the game again. So, there's a couple of missile packs here. There's one here that I wasn't able to get without the super missiles that I picked up in the Space Pirate Research Facility. If you'll remember, they were powering their holographic observatory with super missiles, like you do. And now there is a... I nailed it. Okay. So now here, if you remember, there was this cordite wall hanging. And so, super missiles. Oops. Let's lock my gun in place. And the super missiles expose the conduit. And there we go. Sorry, I was just looking at the chat because Dillazim is continuing my rant for me about suspension of disbelief. And he actually brings up a really good point that that suspension of disbelief actually represents kind of a... Oh, I gotta get back to the ice ruins. Alright. Because there's another missile pack that I can pick up with the spider ball over here. Wow, I am really, like, on two different tracks tonight, huh? So, yeah, okay, so the idea of a contract. And what Dillism said is basically, you know, without going, because he did a whole paragraph here, and I don't want to stop the game to read the paragraph, but basically it comes down to the audience has some responsibility to bring with them a willingness to disbelieve. That is, if you walk into a theater and, you know, your attitude walking into the theater is already, you know what, this is just a movie, this is just actors, I'm not going to buy into the world, then, you know what, you're not going to enjoy it. There's just no way. If you're not willing to at least shut down a little bit and just, like, buy into the premise of the thing, then you're not going to have any fun. And I totally agree with that. If you get... I thought it was over here. If you get a group of players who sit down at your table and they basically have sat down with that mindset of... we are just going to rip this apart for plot holes. We are just going to tear this game apart. You know, if you assign us a quest, we're going to walk into it, you know, with the assumption that you are railroading us, and we are going to go in the opposite direction just to screw with you. And yeah, at that point, the players are being a little bit disingenuous. They're really not buying into the social contract. What you have there really, it's not even a matter of suspension of disbelief because it comes down to so many different things. It's really just a matter of you have an antagonistic environment there. You know, it's already you're starting with this idea that, you know, the players are somehow opposed to you, that they are not buying into the game. By the same token, you as a DM have a responsibility to present a good game and, you know, draw the players into the world and give them something to enjoy. So it's a two-way street. And again, every group has to find its own balance there. You know what? How about I just shut off the whole the Metroid thing and just start doing you know, Angry gives advice. Dillism is saying, in the theater, we usually say willing suspension of disbelief, because if you're not willing, it won't happen. Yeah, and that's... I am shortening the term, but yes, it is. It's the willing suspension of disbelief, which is really the driver of all entertainment, all art, is that you come in... You come in willing to be entertained, and, you know, that requires you to make certain... I don't want to even call it a sacrifice. It's not really a sacrifice when you get down to it. But the thing to keep in mind, too, now going back on the other side, because basically I'm having both sides of a debate with myself now, on the other side, too, is to a certain extent... I'm sorry, I just got to attach my wrist strap again, so if Samus freaks out, that's why. But... you're going to come down around the bridge? Yeah, this is not the time for the GPS to kick in. Your turn is up ahead, while I'm getting missiles lobbed at me by a rocket pirate. Yeah, okay, I know. So the planetary scanner that has been searching for anomalies is still going, and now it's telling me that there's something weird going on at the Chozo ruins, which was kind of where I was heading. Not even kind of, that's where I was heading. Just I was taking a long scenic route to get some missile packs. But anyway, the other side again. Okay. The thing to keep in mind, though, is as much as suspension of disbelief is willingness, and it is a contract between the audience and the author, or the players and the DM, or whoever is involved in the entertainment transaction. Wow, that was like a pretentious liberal arts bullshit way of saying it, huh? Whoever is involved in the entertainment transaction, fniff, 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 fniff. But whatever, okay. So, the thing is that people do not control, to some extent, their suspension of disbelief. There is a certain point, like, there are certain things that people just can't watch because it pulls them out of themselves. It pulls them out of that natural, you know, whatever it happens to be. You know, whatever it is that just kind of triggers their pull out of the entertainment. So, you know, to a certain extent, you could say, yeah, the players have to come with the right attitude. But again, you have to be willing to kind of... You have to be willing to meet halfway. And it's not a player's fault if you do something that just throws them out of the game. And I mean, for example, I have a very, very hard line of willingness to buy into bullshit. Beyond which I'm just out of the entertainment. And I require a lot of consistency in whatever I do. Which kind of shows in my game mastering. Are we playing whack-a-mole here, Lava Devil? The Lava Dragon? Huh? Just stay up. So it requires... I'm just bouncing through the lava. Oh, it's cool. It's just lava. So I personally have a very strict sense of disbelief, which obviously is why I'm a terrible person to go see movies with, unless you really get off on the rants of everything that is wrong with a movie. But as a DM, it shows up in the fact that I build a very detailed, very consistent world. I'm a world-building DM. When you come into my world, you can basically just keep prodding for details and you will find them. You know, there are no questions about my world that I can't answer. Oh, before I forget, so this is what happens when you use the thermal visor in a superheated area. I just bring that up because I think it's really, you know, they did a really good job with the... I keep complimenting things like the visor effects and stuff. And the reason I keep complimenting that stuff is because all of it is very immersive. You know, it's these little details, these little flourishes that make the world seem like, yeah, it could be real. You know, it would... When the creators think of something like that, it's... I mean, there's a twofold thing to it. One of it is it could be real. And, you know, the other thing is that, like, the first time I got the thermal visor when I first played this game, one of the first things I wanted to do was come down here and come into the superheated areas and see how they would show up on the thermal visor. And I figured it wouldn't be I missed the platform, didn't I? And I figured it wouldn't be anything fancy, and then, lo and behold, it actually was. I guess I should pay attention to my platforming, huh? And you get that little sense, you know, there's almost like this like, okay, touche, creators, you did, you know, nice work, well done. Because, you know, the sick thing, since we're talking about immersion and suspension of disbelief, as we are now, there is a certain amount, and this is a completely human thing, and it's something that you should be aware of as a DM, or, you know, in-game design or whatever. We, as human beings, get a certain amount of pleasure from seeing the prideful fall. Okay? And it doesn't matter who the prideful are. You know, it's just, we like to see people taken down a notch. And one of the places where we sort of see that best is whenever something goes wrong, whenever something screws up. You know, it's, to a certain extent, we kind of enjoy the wardrobe malfunctions, and we enjoy the lapses of speech. You know, there's a reason why people like watching the blooper reels on DVDs, and it's like, we like seeing those screw-ups. We like seeing people mess up. It makes us feel better about ourselves in kind of a sick sort of schadenfreude way. I didn't scan that, but by the way, super missiles. And so one of the ways that manifests itself is if you're watching a piece of entertainment that you're not really, really immersed in, then you're waiting for the creator or the author or the, you know, the presenter, whatever, to make a mistake. You're waiting for them to kind of make a screw up. Alright, so there's a certain amount of delight that people get in seeing a blooper, seeing a mistake, spotting a plot hole. And, you know, obviously some people enjoy it more than others. And, you know, that's something that you also just have to learn to deal with, is that to a certain extent, everybody is waiting for a person to make a mistake. And it's not a big deal when you do, either. So, meanwhile, you know, like, so you scan the 4 runic symbols. That's a puzzle we've seen before. I'm doing a lot of backtracking right now, so... This is the passage that leads back up to the Sun Chamber where I first fought Phendrana. Whoa, shit. And those little things, which I really should have scanned one of them, are actually invincible and they will knock you off the platform. So you can... Damn it. Much like that. And I really should get a scan on one because they're a new creature. So I'm doing a lot of backtracking right now, and I'm backtracking up to Phendrana because one of the artifact clues that I had gotten from the temple. Why am I not getting enough height off my bombs? One of the clues that I had gotten off the temple about where the artifacts were hidden was the go back to the Sun Chamber and something about specters. And there we see, and I think this is the first time I'm seeing one of these guys, the Chozo ghosts. Okay, so I'm now returning back to the Sun Chamber where I couldn't get to before. I couldn't get back into it from this direction. And the other entrance is actually overgrown, so I can't get back in the other way. So it is gated to the spider ball. And now I have this encounter. These 3 spirits. And these are aberration Chozo ghosts. And it's interesting that it makes me fight them right now, because it mentions that you need to be able to see them through another visibility spectrum. And you do not have that capability just yet. So as the ghosts move around, they vanish, so they sort of teleport around. And you might figure, oh, I just picked up the thermal visor, that's probably, you know, maybe that's the way I tracked them, but no, they become invisible to that too. Also, Phendrana's corpse is giving off a hell of a lot of heat there, huh? And also their beam weapons seem to kind of, like, throw out a lot of heat. That's interesting. So the way to fight them... Also, they are immune to weapons other than the power beam. It says that they're immune to electricity, ice, and fire. Which, again, kind of gives away what the weapons that I'm going to find next are. So while they're visible, basically you just fire away at them. However, they are actually extremely vulnerable to super missiles. The reason being that super missiles are actually an extension of the power beam. You might think of them as an extension of your missiles, but they're actually... They actually are the same, let's call it damage type. Because kind of hidden in the background of this game, well, not really hidden in the background, are these multiple damage types. Like, for example, the wave beam is electricity. I can't get a good lock on them. And that's another thing, too. They hit you with that beam, and then, like, it disrupts your visor. And man, I am not handling this well at all. Alright, one of them is going to appear there. Oh, behind me. Oh, I didn't have a lock on. Alright, so I should be using my little mini-map more and talking a little bit less. Alright, I'm just going to wait for a good shot here. I'm going to watch my mini-map. Damn it. This usually is not that problematic for me. And I didn't see the hit coming. There we go. One super missile is all it takes to take one out. It's just tough to get the shot, especially when there are 3 of them zipping around. So you basically have to be lucky enough to be looking in the right spot when one appears. Until you're down to just one left, then you can kind of back up against a wall. And then wait for it to appear close enough to get the super missile off. You can also just take it out with the charge shot. Got all the way over there, huh? When they do that big charge-up attack, that's the best opportunity to hit them. Hello, Mad Adventurers! Welcome back. Yeah, Dillism is pointing out that the Chozo ghosts represent a lock before key moment that I've talked about before. And yeah, they really do. By requiring... Actually, several... Damn it, I fell in the water. Actually, a couple of lock before key moments. Sort of one that's sort of in reverse. By requiring the X-ray visor, which you don't even know is a thing, they sort of, you know, they tell you that you need this, so they show you one of the things you can solve with the X-ray visor. But by also calling attention to ice and fire damage, which you can't do yet, they foreshadow some of the other weapons you're going to be picking up. And now I am going to go... Actually, before I make my way to the weird low-temperature anomaly, I'm going to wander around here and pick up a few other items here in the Chozo ruins using the spider ball. Whoops. Damn it, forgot the Reaper vines were there. What do I want? I guess I could... Whoops. Oh. Right. Alright, I found a quick way down. Am I at the right door? Yeah, so we're gonna head back out. And I'm going to pick up a couple optional power-ups now. And I think another artifact, too. So, actually, in here there is one. With the spider ball now, I can go into the fountain. Whoop. Wow. And it just by luck launched me into one of the bugs. Alright, so we'll wait for it to go off again. But there's the spider ball track on the ceiling. And I think this just leads me to a missile pack, right? Yeah. Oh, gotta go back out. Gotta go back out the way we came. I guess I don't have to roll all the way back around, huh? You know, we'll all do it right. Samus is also one of those people who, even if she's the only one in the bank, she has to walk through the little zigzaggy queue. Well, they wouldn't have put the spider ball track here if they didn't want people to use it. I'm coming back here because I really want to pick up... there's a really awesome weapon upgrade here. It's like one of my favorites. But first, listening to the warbling noise, I can hear that there's a power up there. That's an interesting one because it doesn't actually tell you what you need to do to get into the tree. It just says its structure is weakened. And actually what you need is a super missile. And then... Whoops. Oh, right. I can't quite make the jump there. Whoops. Don't need that. And then I actually jump into it from above. Mad Adventurer is asking about the collectible trouble that I was alluding to on Twitter earlier. And yeah, I did. I actually went back through and watched the videos to determine which missile pack I had missed. And it's one that I'm going to go back past later. So we'll just get it then. And meanwhile, like I said, now we're going to... Hopefully I'm not too short on missiles here. I have been kind of, like, careless with my missiles, huh? So, again, we return to this room. I think this is the third time through this room. Yeah, because I came back here once I had the bombs, and then I came back here once I had the boost ball. And now come back here again with the spider ball. And honestly, I would save this power up to later, because I have to come back through here one more time. Except that, like I said, this thing is one of my favorite things in the game. And it actually goes back to what I had started to say about the damage types and the missile combos. So, like I said, there are 4 damage types in the game. There's electricity, which is generated by the wave beam. There is fire and ice, which are generated by 2 beams I don't have yet. And then there's the power beam, which is just the power beam. And of course there's missiles and bombs, and power bombs. But super missiles are actually a sort of upgrade of the power beam. They actually do the same type of damage. So anything that is vulnerable to the power beam is vulnerable to the super missile. Because the super missile is what they call the charge beam combo. Now meanwhile, these little sections of the tower here are vulnerable to missiles. And this is why Samus could never be an archaeologist, by the way. Because she tends to use missiles far too frequently and high explosives in her exploration of these ancient sites. And so now you can see that I have to... Whoops. So these guys are new guys, too. They look like the puffers down in Magmore. They can't be defeated with beam weapons. You have to take them out with missiles. And further complicating it is that they infinitely spawn in this room. And since you need enough missiles to take down, I think it's 3 layers of the tower, you can't waste your missiles on them. Those little guys will block your... You know, if they get hit with a missile, they're immune to it. So they prevent it from damaging the block underneath. And also using free look like I am, if I lock on to lock the screen into position, it'll actually lock on to the enemy and then the missile will seek them. So we just got to kind of make sure that we don't hit them, but we do hit the block and everything is cool, and that I just have a steady hand. Ah, there we go. We went back and forth shooting around it. Guy's moving a little fast, huh? Now this is a really obnoxious puzzle. Oh, now I'm getting the missile's low warning. Samus's oil light, or her missile light, is on now. But that's okay. I've made it to the top. And like I said, what I'm gonna find up here... Oh, please. Oh, fuck! I mean, darn! Yeah, Dillism says Samus is only a little bit worse than Indiana Jones at archaeology. Quite frankly, I mean, I think she's still, even if we take into consideration the missiles and the high explosives, she's still better than Lara Croft. Who is horribly destructive, and I'm pretty sure she's basically just a grave robber. You know, notwithstanding the most recent game, which I have not actually played yet. So I guess I shouldn't comment on... No! Oh god, I'm freaking out now. I just started jumping in midair. Alright. So this is the Wave Buster. This is the charge up for this is actually the Wave Beam missile combo. And I'm gonna wait until I find an enemy to use it on. Because if you don't actually fire it at something, you do not see how awesome it is. Meanwhile, we're just gonna take the express elevator back down. And drag myself through the water. Water is such a drag in this game. I mean, that's the way it is in, you know, in the Metroid. Well, I guess, honestly, Super Metroid, I guess, was the first Metroid game to have water, wasn't it? Okay, so, well, really just you? Alright. I gotta wait until I find something good to use this on. So we're gonna head across, jeez. Okay, I guess I should follow the scan data now. I pretty much picked up the power-ups I had missed, so... Let's head toward the mysterious low-temperature signal on the other side of the ruins. And along the way, I'm gonna find some war wasps or something to, show off the Wave Buster on. It's one of those things whose effect is most visible when you have a lot of when there's a lot of enemies available. So I think there's a war wasp hive across the way here, and we'll just get it to spit out some wasps. So like the super missiles, basically you charge up your wave beam. I guess I shouldn't be shooting directly into the sun since I'm trying to show this off. And then you hold down the... Oh, it depleted already. So it fires a continuous stream of electricity that arcs to enemies. And as it does so, it depletes your missiles. So you very, very quickly run out of missiles, but it cranks out a crap ton of damage. And as noted, anything that is vulnerable to the wave beam gets just torn apart by the wave buster. And there's going to be a few spots where that really comes in handy. And now we are going to head across and finally follow the... Oh yeah, we'll go in there and get what's in there. And then we will follow the scan data to that strange room with the low temperature. And we're going to make pretty quick work of the intervening rooms here. Where are you, shriek bats? You guys usually drop missiles. Because I'm kind of low on missiles. In general, the game is actually pretty good about dropping what you need. It's, you know, while the drops are for the most part randomized, the Metroid games have in general weighted the randomization based on the stuff you need. It was most visible in Super Metroid when you would have those, you would have the things that would infinitely spawn enemies. And whenever you beat the enemy, you know, you killed the enemy inside, and then it would drop, you know, either missiles or energy or whatever, based on what you were low on. And actually, in Super Metroid, for the most part, if you didn't need anything, the enemies would not drop power-ups at all. If you didn't need energy, they wouldn't drop energy power-ups, and if you didn't need missiles, they wouldn't drop missile power-ups. Now, it was also weighted in that some enemies just would not drop, like super missiles or super bombs at all, or power bombs. You know, those would only be dropped from certain enemies. But, I mean, yes, I know my missiles are low. And of course, there's 2 missile doors here. So, in this room, there's actually two available power-ups, 2 optional power-ups. One that just requires the missiles to get, and I could have gotten that a lot earlier in the game. But I didn't bother, because the other one requires the spider ball. And it's just 2 missile expansions. So, whoops. And of course, there's a single firefly in that shaft, and I'm going to drop directly on it. Because that's how it's got to be. Dillism says it's a good thing that Samus's suit didn't come with Clippy. I see you're trying to kill an Eldritch Behemoth. Have you tried missiles? Yeah, well, basically that would be Navi, right? That was kind of the Ocarina of Time approach. Whereas this game is a little bit nicer about it. It's still going to dump endless text at you, but only when you actually ask for it. I mean, that's when you get down to it, that's essentially what the scanning mechanism is for scanning enemies, right? I mean, it's basically just tooltips, but you have to actually ask for them. You know, point at an enemy and hit F1. Alright, let's see if I can get a good shot off the Wave Buster off here. Yeah, there we go. That is a thing of beauty. I love that, baby. And I'm just going to pop into the save station here. Yeah, And actually, now that I'm coming through here for the second time, and this time I have the space jump, I can kind of use that little ledge there to jump myself up. And notice now, because I'm out of missiles, that the enemies are preferentially dropping missiles, and I don't need health, so they're not really dropping health at all. Hey, check out those birds up there. Are they anything? I guess they're just neat. Alright, and now continuing. Alright, hey, we're almost at new ground. This is... I guess I can't really complain about backtracking. Complaining about backtracking in a Metroid game is like complaining about jumping in a Mario game. It's kind of part of the wow. Why can I not finish that sentence? So let's see. Where the hell am I anyway? Okay, so yeah, now I'm finally starting to enter new territory. Quite a while ago, I found that spider ball track and couldn't do anything with it. And now you'll also note that there are these disappearing blocks. They give you just a few seconds while you're on them, and then they vanish. Whoops. And now I'm here in the furnace. And yeah! Oh, and hey, scan data. We haven't had some good scan data in a while. Let's read some Chozo lore. It's Phazon. We've covered... I realize I have complimented this game numerous times for the way it presents its story. But at the same time, when you get down to it, the story could have had a little more depth to it. Because in the end, a lot of even the vital Chozo scans and even the vital pirate scans start to get really repetitive. It just keeps, oh, the meteor hit and the great poison and we contained it and the meteor and the great poison and blah blah blah. Okay, I get it. Meteor, great poison, got it. There is some interesting stuff. In fact, I think in this room there's a couple of interesting scans, but Alright, so fortunately half pipe, we know what to do. Yeah, I know. Okay. The game has decided I am taking too long to get where I'm supposed to be going. It's like, hey, by the way, did you forget that there was kind of a thing here? And the obnoxious part is that, like, that message will not go away until you look at the map again. So you can't even go like, yeah, I get it. Okay. So this is one of the more interesting ones. Because some of these Chozo lore start to talk directly to Samus. Which, as I said, she was raised by the Chozo. Eye roll there. And the Chozo foresaw all of this coming, so they have been purposely leaving these messages not just to record their history, but to basically record an instruction manual for Chozo, or for Samus, who they refer to as the hatchling. They refer to her as the entrusted one. They refer to her as the chosen one. And you know what? I think I started to complain about this last time, and maybe I'm repeating myself. But, like, I'm getting a little tired of everything having to be the chosen one again. Like, there has been a shift in fiction. Like, you even see it in the new Ninja Turtles and the new like the Amazing Spider-Man series. In games like this, everything is about being the chosen one. Everything is about being that one special person. You are the only one who can save it because whatever, because of whatever reason. But really, it's because, the story needs a hero and you're it. And if you compare that to, like even, you know what? Here's a great example. Okay? The Hobbit movies. Okay? Because in the original book, Bilbo was really just a dude. He could have been anyone. In fact, the whole point of the Hobbits was that they represented basically just everybody. I mean, there's a reason the term the everyman exists. And that's exactly it. But the way Bilbo talks, or the way Gandalf kind of, in the new movie, the way he kind of gets Bilbo to go along with the whole thing is there's almost like this sort of chosen one thing, like, you're not like other hobbits, you're different, you're special. And I mean, I know there was some of that in the book, but it was also contradicted in a lot of places by the whole, any hobbit, every hobbit had this spirit in them, and it was just Bilbo was willing to let his come out. Just like, really, there are certain passages in Lord of the Rings that imply that any hobbit could have resisted the pull of the One Ring. It was just the nature of the hobbits that they were sort of incorruptible because they were just, they were just plain simple folk. And that's what really protected them from the power of Sauron. But, the new movie is all about the chosen one, and even the dwarves. I don't know, maybe that's not the best example. I don't know. It's a thing. Like the Amazing Spider-Man series. Now, it was all sort of deliberate experimentation. It was all a setup. Spider-Man was sort of supposed to happen, and all of the villains, they were supposed to happen, and it's okay for these things to happen by accident, for us to believe that they could happen to anybody. But I think it is. Like, Mad Adventurer made a joke in chat about everybody being this unique, special snowflakeness. And everybody being obsessed with that special, being a snowflake, being special. That's what we want in our stories. We want this implication that people are, there are some people who are special. And because we want to believe that we are. Everybody's special, but we want to be the one that's more special. And you know what? I'm not going to get into a rant on identity politics or anything like that, because I'm just going to get myself in trouble. So I'm going to forestall here and say, now, after the first encounter with the Chozo ghosts, they start to show up a few times. So, and they will actually start to show up with greater and greater frequency. Yeah, see, Zero Quest... Okay, hold on a second. Because Zero Quest brought up the whole... Bilbo was meant to find the ring. And so therefore Frodo was meant to have the ring. But look at... But the point was that it wasn't just Bilbo, and it wasn't just Frodo. Because if you look at Sam's journey in that whole thing, to the point where Sam really... You know, he carried the end of that quest for Frodo. Sam was nobody. And yet, really, he was as much vital to the destruction of the ring as Frodo was. Merry and Pippin each had their own journeys, too. And each of them was, you know, in their way vital to the story. And they, too, were just people. They were just a bunch of idiots that Frodo basically went to high school with. You know? The idea, you know, everybody in that story, Legolas and Gimli were nobodies, you know? Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. Okay. Again, I think I'm trying to prove my point a little too hard. But again, I'm just saying, like I go back to Die Hard as the perfect example. John McClane was, in the end, he was just a dude who was trapped by his circumstances. Oh, okay. Something I hadn't scanned yet. So this is a missile refill station. Basically, there are very, very few of these scattered around in the game. And weirdly, you can only scan them into your logbook, I believe, if you... Oh, no, I'm wrong. Never mind. Never mind, didn't do my research. Yeah, okay, Mad Adventurer says, the implication is that you can be a hero or special, not because you have done anything to deserve it or earn it, but because of something over which you have no control, your chosenness. Yeah, and that's it, and I find that wholly unsatisfying. Because, to a certain extent, it sort of erases personal responsibility. And you know... More to the point, moreover, it sort of erases what it is that makes someone a hero. You know, what makes someone a hero is that they are, that they end up in a situation and they avail themselves like a hero because of their own strength of character. Yeah, and Zero Quest and Dillizim are now arguing about Tolkien and the fact that he does go back and forth. And yeah, also that he was trying to subvert the traditional views of a hero, you know. But there you go. He was sort of fighting against it too. Yeah, O-Dog says a hero is someone who gets other people killed. Anyway, okay, so again, you know, Metroid is rapidly becoming just a platform for me to discuss anything. So, alright, whatever. So meanwhile, so this is the Temple of the Chozo Elders, and here in this room, there are actually 3 locks, each of which, I like that message, the energy window that was here gets turned off, and it says, hey, use caution near the window, because it's off now. And that's just a shortcut so that you can easily get back up there. So by opening those 3 force fields, you can then activate the bomb slots and switch those paths so that then you get bowled into different areas. Meanwhile, here we find the reflecting pool, which unfortunately is full of water, otherwise it would be a great half pipe, which you can barely see, but the drain in the middle is covered with a telluric alloy, which again is interesting because generally the bombs are affected by sandstone, or the bombs affect sandstone, so it's again one of those weird cases where they just used a completely different material name just in this one instance. And further complicating this is that there are these stone toads on the side of the pool, so that as you try to boost your way up, Whoops. Oh, I boosted myself right into the pillar. Okay. So as you try to boost yourself up, if you're in front of a stone toad, it will swallow you. Which actually makes it easier to get up onto this level. So that's a save station. That's not what I'm looking for. I am looking for the source of abnormally low temperatures. Okay, and so now I find my next upgrade. Dillism is saying that Yahtzee does a series of Let's Plays called Let's Drown Out, where he plays games with a friend and then they ignore the game and talk about whatever. You know, yeah, I'll have a comment on that in a second, but first... So I've picked up the Ice Beam, which is a Metroid staple. It has a much slower rate of fire, and the projectiles travel much slower than the other weapons, and I'll show off in a few places how that... what that means. But it has no effect on the stone toads, which is actually kind of weird, come to think of it, because this is one of the instances where it doesn't instantly present me with something that is easily affected by the weapon so that I can sort of learn its capabilities. Photostyle is saying I didn't scan it. No, actually, weirdly enough, as obsessive as this game is with scanning, you do not actually have to scan the power-ups. They do not count for 100% completion. They don't have entries in the logbook. And actually, if I did scan it, all it would say is Ice Beam. It would give me no other information than that. All of the power-ups basically just say, you know, the name of the power-up, and that's it. So the Ice Beam is slow to fire. The projectile is kind of slow. It does pretty high damage, but because of the weapon's slow rate of fire and slow travel time, it tends to be a closer range weapon. So I tend to think of it more like the shotgun of the game, because it's high damage, but close proximity. And now I'm actually up in a different area of the Talon overworld. I don't think I've scanned those before. Oh yeah, I have. Oh, I know what they are. Okay, so now, those guys were invincible to my other weapons. Oh, and they're invincible to the ice. So, yeah, no, this is... Metroid is sort of breaking its own pattern here by just not giving me something that the Ice Beam suddenly allows me to do right in front of it. Which is really weird. I never noticed that before. And then too, like... Well... Then too, like, these... The little Geemers or Zoomers or whatever the hell they are, they're so weak that just hitting the thing with one blast kills it, so I don't get to see the secondary capability of the weapon, which is that it freezes targets. That's very strange. O-Dog says you went down to get to the overworld. Yeah. And hey, look, a decoy. So yeah, now I'm back in Talon Overworld, but I'm in a different area. Oh, now I can see what the Ice Beam does. So the Ice Beam will actually freeze an enemy if I connect with it. Assuming it doesn't kill the enemy outright. And then hitting the enemy with a missile will shatter it. The problem is, like I said, that the attacks travel so slowly that the Space Pirates can sort of easily dodge it. Meanwhile, the other thing I notice here is here I am in Talon Overworld, and there is this massive sort of metal construct rammed into the ground. And not entirely sure what that is yet. I mean, obviously I am sure because I've played this before. But... oh, and there's another pirate there. And the presence of the pirates is also telling. Unfortunately, it's kind of tough to get there right now because of the water. And most of what's inside there is flooded. So until I can travel through the water more easily, I don't want to go that way. And actually, it's one of the more interesting screw jobs in the game. Also, it's funny that those pirates kind of run away. But you're actually supposed to come here to the, come to this spot a little bit earlier. You can actually wander here immediately after you land on Talon 4. So this is supposed to be your first view of Phazon. And the first you're really hearing about the Phazon after you get off the space frigate. It will damage you if you come into contact with it. And the fact that there's a crate of it here, and the space pirates, and that thing across the way, is also kind of indicative of the... well, again, this is all indirect storytelling, but it's all important. And what that really is, as we will discover, is it is actually a crashed pirate spaceship. And I will say no more than that at the moment. Now, the reason I've come all the way back... see, now, this is another one of the more painful sort of double backs in the game. Because after you get the ice beam, the next direction you want to go is you want to go back to Phendrana Drifts. And you actually want to go back to Thardis's lair. So you want to go all the way back the way you came. And so it's basically just... as much as, like I said, I will not complain about the backtracking in this game, because it is a Metroid game, and so backtracking is, you know, par for the course. But there are points where the backtracking is sort of careless, in that it seems like they really just keep trying to make you walk the entire length and breadth of the world too often, getting from one side to the other and then back the other way. And I kind of have a theory about why they do this. And it comes down to the transition between 2D and 3D. And we can actually argue whether a 3D Metroid game really works as well as whether it ever could have worked as well as a 2D Metroid game because of this. But here's the deal. Super Metroid was again a really well-designed game, and one of the things that it did was to make sure that you were constantly seeing things that you would remember later, so that as soon as you found some new capability, you would remember 2 or 3 places that you could go, that you know were now opened because of that. Like, you get the high jump boots, and you immediately remember these jumps that you couldn't make, and that served as kind of your guide to the next area. Like, you know, I'm gonna be totally honest. I kind of hate the ice beam. I'll have plenty of opportunities to use it. It's just against this shit. I just like something with a nice wide hitbox and you know, a nice wide hitbox and fast moving. But okay, so in the 2D Metroids, it was easy for the game to do that because there wasn't as much information to process. Okay, because you were constrained in the directions you could go, and really because it was a 2D game, you were constrained in. Whoops. Just trying to remember where I'm trying to get to. Nope. I want to go back this way. Alright, so I gotta turn all the way around and somehow put on my thermal visor by accident. Yeah, so I want to head back this way. This is the faster route. So, yeah, Iggy Midomi. Oh, hi, by the way, Iggy. Welcome back. But yeah, he's saying that the ice beam sucks. I don't agree that it sucks, but I will agree that it is much more situational in this game. Whoops. And I keep going to switch weapons instead of visors. Like here, these little flame jets can be frozen with it, and that's kind of a neat use of it. If it weren't so easy for them to sidestep, I would really like it against the pirates. Just because of the whole, you know, two-shot combo. You hit it with the ice beam, and then you hit it with the then you hit it with the missile and shatter it. How many more times am I going to forget which button changes missiles and which button changes visors and which one changes weapons? Anyway, oh jeez, I'm really like I'm like playing with ADD tonight. So what the hell was I saying? Oh, 2D Metroid backtracking. Yeah. Okay. So it was easy to remember this stuff. It was easier to pay attention to your environment because your environment was necessarily less complicated. It only existed in 2 dimensions. And making the transition to 3 dimensions means, you know, everything is more complicated and everything is a little... It's harder to remember remember certain things. Whoops. Okay. Get out. You know, damn it, the clam flipped over while I was on it. Okay, fine. You know what? I don't care. I'm fine. I got plenty of health. So in making the transition to 3D, one of the things they had to deal with is that they couldn't use that trick as effectively anymore. Of just using the fact that areas and things were memorable and called themselves to your attention, so that after you got a power-up, you would kind of have a sense of where to go next, and you would also know which optional things that you could suddenly grab. So to compensate for that, the game had to make a couple of changes, and one of the changes it made is having the little GPS come up every so often and tell you, you know, hey, I detect weirdness in this spot. Maybe you should go check here next. The other thing it does to compensate that, I think, and I can't say this for sure, because, you know, I was not in the design meetings of this, obviously, and I'm not a game designer. I'm just a guy who plays games. But I think they sort of purposely use the backtracking to force you to go through areas you had previously explored and rediscover the things that... rediscover the new uses for the tools that you had found. Speaking of, now that I have the ice beam, I can go up this way and continue my exploration of Phendrana Drifts. So that whole diversion was basically to get me walk all the way across the entire world, everywhere I've been, and use the 3 or 4 new tools that I had picked up. Yeah, I can't do a blast of heat yet. Because apparently my power beam and missiles and super missiles do not count as heat. So now I'm going to continue my exploration of Phendrana Drifts with the Ice Beam. Because, of course, the Ice Beam, it makes it easier to explore basically a frozen glacial area. So I think that's really what it was. I think the forced backtracking was there to make... Damn it! Double damn it. Oh, okay, new creature. Gel Zaps. I blasted through that pretty quick. So these are Gel Zaps. They're bivalves, or, you know, like underwater mollusks. But instead of being linked by muscles, they're linked by a cord of electricity. So you can fire electricity into them when they... You know what? All of that is basically a fancy way of saying, hey, they have a weak point when they open, you should shoot that. There is a certain amount of midi-chlorians in this game, where it's just explaining things that nobody really needed explained. It's like, fine, I understand that creatures in this universe have weak points that they are periodically going to expose to me because, you know, video game. I don't need an explanation as to why something evolved with this ridiculous biology, because you know what? I'm buy it. I think I scanned the little flicker bats already. Yeah, I did. Okay. Dillism says, what? Sounds like Adam has revoked authorization to use F-bombs? I'm not sure. Oh, because... Oh, okay. Speaking of, I just heard it. So, this is a new form of Metroid called the Hunter Metroid. Which is like, it's an adolescent, it's a weaker Metroid. But it also... See, like, it says, oh, this has an interesting, this has a more powerful form of attack, but it turns... That's still not change beams, is it? But it actually isn't that much more powerful than a... It actually isn't more powerful at all. I actually find it less annoying than the standard Metroids. And there's also this little creature, the Glider, which is with unusual magnetic properties. This is basically a living grapple point. Yeah, there's a sport called grapple riding. And, yeah, I can actually hit that from here, huh? No? No, I guess not. Okay, I gotta get over there. So, I need to drop those stalactites so that I can get into the entrances I need. And I can't remember from where I have to do it. Alright. Alright, so there's that one. And then that one. And I think I mentioned last time I was in the ice ruins that the stalactites, damn it all, the stalactites are actually, there's a limited number of them in the game. They are a required scan, and you can only scan them before you shoot them. And I can't remember where I have to hit the other one from. Because I'm pretty sure the other one is a save point, and I think so. How many times have I talked about how well I know this game, and yet... Oh, okay. Oh, no, wait, that's the way I came from? Maybe I can hit it from over here. Yeah, I just wasn't hitting the sweet spot. It's picky about where you hit it. Oh, okay, and now my GPS is coming. See, now this is, I think that's the first actual mention of the Phazon mines. And meanwhile, hey, you should be heading in this direction. The gravity chamber. Where there are unusual gravity signals. Photostyle is asking me how many times I have played this game. Through to completion, this will be my 5th. And I have never actually managed to 1% it. Or 100% it. I have always missed something. Just like one little thing here or there. You know, and again, you know, I pretty much know where all the power-ups are. I know all the missable scans at this point. I just always miss one thing. One little thing here or there. So, but I love this game, and probably overall, Metroid is my favorite game franchise. As you can tell, because if you go look at the games that I've streamed lately, I have been pretty much on nothing but a Metroid kick. I think I want to go down. Yeah. Alright, so... basically, in order to get into the gravity chamber, you kind of have to loop around in sort of a weird circle. Yeah, Photostyle says that sucks, 99.9%. Yeah, the last 3 times have been 99.9%. In fact, the save file I did as a practice run for this stream is stuck at 99%, and I'm not even sure which... I missed a missile pack, and I'm not even sure which missile pack it was. And I have no desire to go back and try and locate it. You can notice now, the game is using the same trick that Super Metroid used of forcing me into a lot of watery areas, exposing me to a lot of water right before I get the gravity suit. Which I like to think of as sort of a... You bastard. Stupid flicker bat knocked me into the water. Oh, and I got the helmet effect. So every once in a while, when there's a bright light in front of Samus's helmet, you can actually see her face reflected in the visor, which I think is really cool. Yeah, you know what? I was gonna let you guys live, but then you knocked me into the water, so now I just don't want to even deal. Oh, you survived, didn't you, you bastard? Well, that's fine. So, you know, the game keeps forcing me into and out of the water to really make sure that I'm annoyed about water and really starting to hate going in the water between the limited mobility and the added limited visibility. Since now I'm about to get the... I was going to call it the standard Metroid power-up, but it's really not. Because at this point, it was only ever in one other game, and that is Super Metroid. But that's the gravity suit. I guess I could have shot the Aqua Reapers to get them out of the way, but I'm starting to get really careless about taking damage. It's just I don't want to be bothered. And I have plenty of energy tanks because I've been very diligent in picking them up. So this room is basically an underwater maze, sort of the last time that water will be inconvenient to you, and it is a doozy. The visibility makes it very difficult to find your path. The hampered movement makes it difficult to move around. The irregular terrain also doesn't help. But there we go. And just to show what I was mentioning before photo style is, if you scan one of these vital power-ups, all you do is you get its name. It doesn't get entered into your logbook. So this is the gravity suit. And coffee. When I talked about Super Metroid, one of the things I mentioned was that the two suits that you get provide physical transformations for Samus. And both of them come, you know, at significant points in the story. You know, the Varia suit... The Varia suit... Wow, it's... I guess... I'm drawing a blank now. I think the Varia suit is for beating Kraid. And the gravity suit comes after the sunken ship, so after you've defeated Phantoon. Or after the crashed ship. But, well, I guess I should talk about what the gravity suit does first and foremost. So in this game, the gravity suit removes the hampered movement underwater, so you now are completely mobile in the water. Actually, I think there's still a very slight amount of sluggishness, but it isn't too substantial. The other thing it does is it removes the visibility effect underwater, so that you can actually, you know, see. So between those two things, it makes it easier to move underwater. And the physical transformation of Samus was really significant because, you know, whenever you provide a player with a physical transformation where, you know, they look different in some way, it's sort of a milestone event. You know, it said, you have done something big and important now. And now you are, you know, you are a new... Oh, these sentry drones. You know what these sentry drones hate? Electricity. Yeah, that's right. Bastards. I love the Wave Buster. But the funny thing again is in switching to the first person, the whole physical transformation as significant event, you actually lose some of that because you really don't see Samus the whole time. You see her when she steps into the save points, and when she goes into Morph Ball, you know, obviously you see her from the third person. But it actually loses some of the impact of the suit changes. And that's actually kind of a shame, because the game, like, thematically speaking, it kind of put them in the same sort of story beats. So the Varia suit comes after you beat Flagra, which is, you know, that the first real boss that you fight, and it's a pretty epic fight. It's a pretty drawn out fight, and it makes a good reward for that, or it would if the whole physical transformation thing were noticeable. The gravity suit, similar to where it comes in Super Metroid, is not so much connected to a boss, though it is, you know, having beaten Thardus, it starts you on the path that ends with the gravity suit. and Thordis is kind of a tough fight, a sort of a make-or-break fight. But more to the point, it's sort of the puzzle platforming equivalent of a tough boss, in that it throws you through a couple of tough, like, tough platforming sequences to get it. And now, I'm actually gonna head back briefly into the Space Pirates lab, because there were a couple of vital scans that I missed in there on my first time through, and I'm close to there. So we're gonna pop back into the Space Pirates Central by platforming my way up to this wave beam door. I think this will take me back to the research core, which I can now access with the ice beam. And now I'm in the darkened research core, which this is where I first got the thermal visor. And actually, it'll be kind of fun dealing with the Metroids with the ice beam, which from the first game is the traditional way of dealing with the Metroids. I say traditional. You know, sort of the standard way of dealing with the Metroid is you freeze it with the ice beam. And then hit it with the missiles, and I don't know why it was not freezing, but whatevs. These turrets are kind of kicking my ass, huh? You know, considering the room is powered down and I stole the only thing of value from it, they could, you know, maybe turn on... Because this is the thing. I blew up all these turrets my first time through. And so they came in here and replaced the damn things. But they didn't turn back on the lights to do it. So who's the idiot repairman that they sent in here to fix the turrets but not the lights? Ah, damn it. No, damn it. I'm trying. I hit the wrong button. And we got a sentry turret here. The electricity will find him. Love that wave beam. Wave buster. And then after I pick up those 2 scans that I've missed, I'm going to go ahead and can be done for the night. I wandered into the elevator by accident. You're right in front of me. Why can't I hit you? Oh. Am I not using... I can't tell... Oh, you know what? I think it's that I can't tell when they're frozen, because I have the thermal beam on. Which, by the way, also neat effect is... Oh, yeah, I can. That you hit something with the ice beam, and then it becomes instantly dark to the thermal beam. It is a little weird, though, that when you charge up the ice beam, it's hot. It's got the crackle of hot electricity, but then it unleashes... I think that's the big one, isn't it? No. Damn it. Alright, so somewhere in here is a piece of vital scan data that I missed. I think. This is... Whoops. This is Research Lab Aether, correct? Yeah. Yeah, so... I missed a piece of scan data. And it's going to be kind of tough to find it in the dark, huh? But what can you do? So one of these scan data should be red because it's pirate data. No, that's one I already had. That's one I already had. This this is fun. This is worse than pixel hunting. I like how you can read the screen in thermal mode. I wonder if you have really good thermal sensors, can you actually do that? Like, do the different light levels give off different level, or the different colors give off different levels of heat? There's so many scans that I haven't read in. Ah, there you are.
Recording to logbook.
Friggin' pixel hunting. Metroid Dissection continues to provide more questions than answers. Oh yeah, this is the one I was talking about, where... Yeah, we can see what they're doing, and we can see all the organs that extract the life energy of targets, because that's what they do, they drain life energy. But we have no idea what the hell they're actually pulling out, and no matter how many Metroids we cut open, we have, no matter how many Metroids we cut open, we can't figure out what they're actually doing. To a certain extent, there's the space pirates are now starting to, I think, really tackle some theological questions, because it's this whole, if they're draining life essence, but nothing actually biologically detectable, then do Metroids prove the existence of the soul? It's kind of an interesting, question there, huh? Whoa! Meanwhile, I almost ricocheted a ice beam back into my face. And the other two, I missed 2 scan datas in the observatory, so I have to go all the way back to the observatory. Dice App is pointing out that in real life, thermal sensors suck. Though, of course, we're talking about modern thermal sensors, and heaven knows what future space thermal sensors will be like. I guess since I'm outside now, I can... And we're just gonna unload some super missiles on these guys and call it a day. It would be a lot easier for them to pull off surprise attacks and ambushes if they didn't bring their signature theme music every time. I wonder about the one pirate who has to go into every battle with the speakers going. And it's like, hey Bob, you're on theme music duty today. So here, hook this iPod up to your external speakers, and now you're going to have to spring out first so that the theme music comes before the rest of us get on camera. Is it still dark in here? Oh, okay, good. I think we've got pirates. Huh? I don't think... Whoop. Yep, we got pirates. Wow, oh, a fully charged shot from the ice beam just kind of kills them, huh? So there is some sort of vital pirate lore. Oh, there's one. There should be 2 in here. So this is... Oh, scans of the spiral sector detected a massive energy spike emanating... Oh, okay, so this was their first detection of Talon 4, and what they detected was the phazon on it. Huh. Okay, cool. And there's the other one. Dillism says, Dave, turn off that boombox. Oh, see, they're planning to add a combat base and a starport. Truly, these are glorious times. What a great time to be a space pirate. Alright, I'm gonna head up to the save point at the top of this room. And I'm gonna call it a night. Damn it! I'm having a lot more trouble with the platforming than I usually do. I got quiet. I'm very intense. I'm focusing on my jumping. Alright. So we're going to call it a night here.